Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Heroes of RPGs. This week, someone who's a little more obscure, although really, someone who's sold 12 million books can be considered obscure? I don't think so. This week we present Joe Dever. Joseph Robert Dever was born at Chingford in England on February the 12th, 1956. His grandfather, who had socialist leanings, changed the family's surname from De Vere. His father died when he was 9, and he reacted by becoming a highly self-reliant child who retreated into his imagination. He was educated at Buckhurst Hill County School. An accomplished musician, notably on bass guitar, he subsequently joined the orchestra of Pye Records. Then from 1979 he worked for several years as a recording engineer at the Manor, Virgin Studios near Oxford, collaborating with performers such as Peter Gabriel and the Sex Pistols. He was later a tour manager for John Lydon's band Public Image Limited. But it was not this he gained fame for. He gained fame as the creator of the Lone Wolf fantasy gamebooks, which in their 30 years of publication has sold some 12 million copies worldwide and exerted a formulative influence on computer gaming and many an insecure adolescent. The book's genre is often called Choose Your Own Adventure, a format pioneered in the late 1970s in America. Exploiting the rising popularity of dice-based role-playing games, they offer the reader the novelty of being the hero of the story. By making choices, do you wish to examine the skeleton? Turn to page 99. Or open the trapdoor? Turn to page 7. Readers have the chance to determine their own fate. The first Lone Wolf adventure was published in 1984, capitalizing on the impact in Britain of the Fighting Fantasy series of books, written by two titans of the gaming community, Steve Jackson and Ian Livingstone. Indeed, Dever was working for the Pairs magazine White Dwarf when he originally conceived of Lone Wolf as an RPG for their company, Games Workshop. Annoyed, he would claim, by the low royalty they offered, he adapted his game as a rival to their own books. The duo had given him a job after he had won as the lone British entrant in the Advanced Dungeons & Dragons Championship in Baltimore. For Lone Wolf, Dever drew on a mythical world that he had created for his game, Magnamund. This was influenced by the writings of J.R. Mervyn Peake, and Michael Moorcock. What was innovative, however, was that Lone Wolf was envisaged not as a one-off story, but as a long cycle of 32 adventures centered on the same protagonist, the young sole survivor of an order of warrior monks. This allowed for character development and advancement, which is unseen in other books of the same type. Published by Hutchinson, the first two titles sold 100,000 copies in a fortnight. They were translated into 18 languages and sold to 30 countries, with sales remaining consistent until they were eclipsed in the mid-1990s by the computer games to which they had been a bridge. Dever became a consultant to the new industry and continued to write or co-author another 50 books, and in 1999 made the early Lone Wolf stories available free online. Since 2003, they enjoyed a steady renaissance, notably in France with 3 million sales, and in Italy, where a computer game version was downloaded 2.5 million times in 2 years. The series had reached book 29, The Storms of Chai, before Dever's death at age 60, and the family promised to publish the 3 concluding adventures. Although mainly known for Lone Wolf, Dever also wrote the Greystar the Wizard series, set in the same world as Lone Wolf, Magnamund, and a post-apocalyptic series, Freeway Fighter. All are available free of charge on the Project Aon website. For me personally, Joe Dever's books allowed me a chance to become a character in another world, role-playing for the first time, before I even heard of Dungeons & Dragons. More than any other character, I identified with Lone Wolf, because I read him and was him for some 20 books before I drifted away in my 20s from reading them. Thanks, Joe. You created a great series of books, and you're one of my heroes of RPGs.